Hey everyone, it's Jeff Salzenstein, and I've got a great lesson for you today. We've got Jeff McCalmon. He's with us today. We've been working together for several months, and we actually started last fall and even last winter, where we went in the basement, and Jeff was one of those open-minded students that said, hey, I don't need an indoor court. I don't need to be on a court. I'll come to this guy and I'll listen to his theories on the serve, and I'll go practice it. And Jeff, it's been a pleasure to work with you. Thank you so much. You came to me with questions. You had a lot of questions. You're one of these inquisitive types of students. Why don't you give me a little bit of background real quick about your approach to the serve, or what you wanted to learn from me when you first came over to see me?
Well, I think I first picked up on a blog a little bit about you and how later in your career you were still serving at 130 miles an hour. So I'd taken a lot of lessons about the serve, always wanting a weapon for my serve. But you go back and forth in style. So I said, look, you are what you are. You were on the pro tour. You were there playing the top people in the history of the game. So I said, I live in Denver. I said, if I can get to this guy, I'm going to take the chance and see if he'll put up with me and all my questions on how you serve. How do you get a better serve? So you said yes, and we started off, last November. And at that time, I spoke of a DVD I had, and they tell you to move your hip forward and get your body like a pole vaulter to spring forward, etc.
So why don't you stand sideways a little bit, face the camera, and talk a little bit about the common themes that you learned in that video, because I think there are those are the themes of the concepts that are taught out there, and they're not necessarily wrong or right, but talk about that tilt of the shoulders, the hips, all the different concepts.
Well, as I understand it, they were mainly getting the toss, walking forward, but then throwing your hips across the baseline,
Mm-hmm.
getting up. They wanted your shoulders really at a, if this was a clock, this would be 2 and this would be 7. So you really their trophy position is more, I would guess, like this, with extending the body bent.
So one of the things that when I hear that, I often heard that as a coach, or as a player, I should say, but the big thing that I think could mess players up, could really make you struggle, is that when you think of that tilt, there's almost too much of a tilt going on, and the elbow actually stays pretty low. Now, maybe some pro players, they can feel that tilt and still keep their elbow up, but I always felt like it was easier to keep the shoulders a little more level, and we'll go into that in this lesson a little bit. But that concept of tilting, like you're talking about, and sticking that hip out, I think that's a pretty challenging concept to practice, especially if you're a rec player. And I know you're a 3.5, right? 3.5, aspiring to be a 4.0, and we want to give the easiest concepts possible, and I know the serve is a challenge. It's not the easiest thing to change. Excuse me, I got a little cold today, but it's not the easiest thing to change, but you've really embraced a lot of the concepts that we've talked about. And so instead of this idea of kind of tilting those shoulders and sticking the hip out first, what have you learned from me that might be different, that maybe you like better and you're implementing into your serve?
Well, the biggest difference is you're turning your shoulders, I guess, in a circular way. You're coming back as you lift up the racket. So if you were going to throw a football, it's more like that motion. Mm-hmm. Instead of here, you're turning your shoulders here, kind of letting your hips just go naturally. And then the big thing is a balance, being balanced when you're here, so you have kind of a solid foundation to swing into the ball.
Right. So why don't you get on the baseline, Jeff, and we'll kind of talk about some of these things. First of all, when Jeff first came to me, we did talk about the stance. So I don't exactly remember what your stance was before, but I know that
I came up. I might have.
You did move your foot. Yeah, so pinpoint stance. And I said, hey, let's try to really teach you how to swing the racket correctly before we even mess around with these legs. And that's something that we talk about in the Tennis Serve Secrets, is getting the stance solid first and teaching people how to move their arm before they start moving their foot. Then if they want to add the pinpoint later, they can. although it does add another variable, it does help some people with rhythm. So first off, we worked with your stance.
Yep.
And as you know, we're still not there with your arm movement, the way that your arms move and your upper body moves. But we are getting there, and we are making improvements, and you don't have to worry about your legs. Now, you've noticed that you've made your biggest, or hit your best serve sometimes without even the legs.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about that and how your body moves, or what you feel when you connect the best on your serve.
Well, it's real compact, just turning with the racket here, this at a right angle, and then just swing up into the ball.
Right.
Almost, and then snapping. Instead of thinking of hitting this serve with your shoulder and arm, it's much more effortless.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab some balls, but we're going to talk a little bit about your serve and how it's changing, and we're both going to kind of demonstrate a little bit and work with it so that everyone gets a sense here for kind of how we would do a lesson. So what I want you to do is, let's go ahead and just go to the trophy position first. So you're going to start in your regular motion. So you'll have a full motion down here with your arms down here, and then find the trophy position without bending your knees right now. Good. So remember, you want to keep that head, there you go. And then this hand is going to be a lot straighter. So really extend that up like that. Good. So let's relax and let's do that again. So what we're doing here is we're really working on just feeling a new way to move. Watch that head again. There you go. So you're wanting to turn that head a little bit, right? We want to keep that head more stable, and then the hand to the side. Spread those fingers. Good. There you go. Lightning bolts out of those fingers. Okay, relax again. So see if you can do that same motion again without me cueing. One thing, just stop real quick. One thing I want you guys all to notice is Jeff is starting on his back foot. Now he can start on his front foot like this and then rock back when he initiates, but Jeff likes to have that weight on the back foot. I'm noticing it's a personal preference. It's an option. Go ahead and make that trophy position move. So he's going to shift that weight to the back foot. And for a guy who, he's a 3-5, 4-0 player, he likes to turn a lot with this first move like that. And we just have to be careful. Go ahead and relax. We have to be careful that with Jeff does his shadow strokes, that he doesn't turn his head too much at the beginning. So it's really important when you get ready to serve that you keep your head here. You don't turn your head this way like this. So if I come to the side and I toss it, this is what I think Federer does so well. I pretend to toss, and my chin is right on my shoulder right here. It doesn't come back like this. And that's what that DVD you're talking about. I think when people tilt too much, look at where my head is. If you keep your head here, then that immediately changes the angle. If you like this video, go ahead and click the link below, and you're going to have access to some of my best serving tips that's going to help you dramatically improve your serve.